I totally did it. Fuck you, Billy. I don't need you anymore. No, I'm just kidding. It took me and our guest about like 20. It took me like 20 minutes to get our guest set up audio video wise. So, Billy, no more conferences when we have shows tonight, man. Good evening, everyone. My name's Hugh. My name's Billy, and this is Liberty Risk Podcast. We want to thank you all for being here. You might remember our last episode. We spoke with Vet Phoenix about veterans incarceration and veteran court, and we are going to continue in that vein tonight. We have Army veteran and Pinellas County Sheriff veteran Larry Weglarz joining us. Larry, how you doing tonight?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
That's awesome. Where are you joining us from? Are you still in Florida?
I'm in Tampa, Florida. Yes, I am.
Hell yeah. I got an inch of snow today. Yeah.
I'm driving around in my convertible.
Oh, God. Yeah. It's like we were talking about earlier. Definitely college was cool, but I really wish I got into the trades a lot earlier. I definitely think I could be almost retired or at least managing remotely at this point.
Right.
Yeah. So, Larry, you run Expunge U.S. Veterans LLC out of Florida, and you guys specialize in expunging criminal records. Is that right?
Correct.
And tell us a little bit about your background with Pinellas County and with the Army.
Well, ever since I was little, like, 8 to 10, I knew I wanted to be a cop. That's all I ever aspired to do. So when I graduated high school, I signed up for college because at 18, you're really too young to get hired as a cop. And I was going to take criminal justice classes and get an associate's. And then at the last minute, I decided to go in the Army and be an MP. Sure. So I served from 80 to 83 in Germany as an MP.
Nice.
And then I got out and I got hired actually first for St. Pete Police Department. And then in 88, I went over to the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office where I did my time and retired from there.
Nice. Do you have full 20 years over in Pinellas?
Yeah, a total of 28.
Awesome.
Between both agencies, yeah.
That's awesome. And did you have a specialty while you were over there?
That's what's so great about it. I did so much. I was able to, I did undercover narcotics. I did school resource officer. I was a CID shirt and tie detective, robbery detective, got promoted to sergeant. So it's a good career if you want to bounce around and not worry about losing benefits.
That's pretty sweet.
Your pay stays the same and your benefits stay the same.
Yeah, that's gotta be pretty sweet too, because like 28 years is a long time to do the same job over and over. I'm sure that's like an extremely small group of people in the world, I think, doing the same thing for 28 years. So to get a broad view of how the legal system works.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I had a lot of experience, a lot of very interesting and high profile cases in my career.
Down in Florida, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you recall when after 9/11, that kid flew the plane into the Bank of America building in Tampa.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was my case because he stole a plane from Pinellas.
Oh, shit.
And I was a detective, so the theft fell under our jurisdiction, and I was the lead detective on it. So that was one of my most interesting. I mean, there was national, worldwide news on that. So it was a very, very good career. Very good.
Well, that's awesome. And then what you did 28 years, so you retired fairly recently then, right?
Well, actually, I retired when I was 49.
Okay.
50 years old, yeah. So
what year was that?
2011, I believe. Okay. Yeah, 2011.
Okay, nice. And then what year did you start this LLC?
Oh, wait a minute. I'm trying to recheck my retirement year. Because that sounds like longer, doesn't it? It sounds like 15, 16 years. Maybe it was, I started my LLC in 2014. So I think that is about right. Yeah, I started my not my LLC, I'm sorry. I first started as a nonprofit in 2014. Gotcha. And I operated for about 4 or 5 years as a nonprofit. Expunge U.S. Veterans Incorporated. And I just couldn't, I ended up funding it myself. And I just really, couldn't withstand I had no money income, from the company. Yeah.
So, all right. So give us the synopsis. What is it that Expunge U.S. Vets LLC does?
Well, what we do, and could I kind of start where I got the idea from?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah. So, well, as I told you, I was in the Army 80, 83. After a 20-year break in service, after 9/11, I went back into the military, into the National Guard.
Okay.
First the Navy for a year, then the National Guard after a year to deploy to Afghanistan,
Mm,
where I was a counterintelligence special agent.
okay.
And when I came home, I was going to the VA for, certain reasons. And, we were in group meetings and stuff. And these veterans were coming in, and I knew about expungements from law enforcement.
Mm,
And they were all excited. I mean, these guys and girls were hook, line, and sinker into Veterans Treatment Court. And, it was good talking to you before the show that you're familiar with it. And they were, I mean, I never heard of it. And they're
mm.
going on about Veterans Treatment Court and their case is going to be dismissed and hallelujah. And the next week they came in, there are two of them, I recall, and their heads are low. And, the group kind of said, "What's going on?" We thought you're going to have a good, good hearing.
Thought you were good to go. Thought
Your
you guys made it sound like you were guaranteed your case
yeah,
getting dropped. What happened?
when their case did get dropped. But what happened was when they went to a job at Wendy's or Walmart or wherever,
Mm.
they couldn't get a job because of their criminal history. Because that arrest record stays on there for life unless you get it
Oh,
sealed or expunged.
so
And I
regardless,
knew
regardless of whether or not the case was dropped, you were still arrested. So that
Mhm.
record is searchable by an employer.
Yep, it's public record.
Mm.
And I knew that. And, to me, you're getting a life sentence out of something. In a lot of cases, um, are dismissed before you even go to veterans court. A lot of them are, we call them no infos, no
Mm.
information. Like if you hear about a grand jury, they come back with no true bill, where they
Mm.
don't file charge on somebody. Well, the state attorney does the same thing with a phenomenal amount of their cases. That they'll come
Okay.
back and send a letter saying we're not going to file charges. Facts and circumstances don't warrant prosecution. Well,
Okay.
they dismiss them without any treatment court or anything. Well, those are still on people's records
Mm.
even though the state attorney doesn't have enough to take them to trial. So the only way to get rid of it is to have
Mm.
it sealed or expunged. And I knew this because of my background, and that's why I
Sure.
came up with the concept of my company.
Okay. Is there a difference between sealed and expunged?
Yes, there is. That's a good question. Sealing is if you plead no contest and the judge withholds adjudication, the record, you can then have it sealed, which
Mm.
means it's there, but no one can see it
Okay.
unless you go to the judge and ask for permission to unseal the records. A lot of like what you're hearing with the Epstein stuff, they're asking them to unseal the records.
Okay.
So if somebody has a record that's sealed, maybe they're a suspect in something else, they know about their prior charges, they could go to a judge and say, "Hey, can we get you
Give me
know
access to this record. We
access
need
to
to
this
take a look
record?"
at it.
Right. And the
Gotcha.
expungement, it's just totally gone. It will show
Uh,
up if you're applying for a government job, like in law enforcement
mm.
or the military or getting a clearance, but it won't show up with what you did or the facts and circumstances of the case. It'll just show you had a record expunged.
Interesting. All right. And then if you're applying for any of those jobs where it would show up, is your employer allowed to ask you any of the details?
Not really by law in Florida. Now, I'm strictly talking to Florida. Um, and I've done some out of state, but I don't want to get in the worms on that.
Mm-hmm.
But you are allowed to say that you were never even arrested for a crime if you've had your record sealed or expunged in Florida. But
Okay.
now, what a lot of employers do is say, "Have you ever had a record sealed or expunged?"
Mm.
And if you answer no and you did, then you're
Now you're lying on your falsifying your application. I gotcha. All right. So all right, what would you say is like the most common thing veterans are getting arrested for?
a lot of
Like
minor drug possession.
categorically.
Yeah, drugs,
Sure.
disorderly conduct, domestic violence,
Mm.
Disorderly Did I say disorderly conduct already?
Yeah, that's all right. We probably did it twice.
And what's the other one? I've had a lot of. Petty thefts. Yeah, theft. Yeah,
Really? Petty
yeah.
theft, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. I could see that. I mean, nowadays they're all like, ah, man, my Zin is dead. I'm just gonna go steal it from the little seaman over there. The drug use, I understand. I imagine. So we were speaking, like I said, with Vet Phoenix the last show, and he said a lot of them, when they get injured, they get hooked on medication,
Right.
and then whether the medication runs out or it's not good enough anymore, they have to go. They go find other means.
Right.
In your experience, do you know, is the majority of the drug, is a large number of the drug abuse prescription, or is it illicit drug use?
In my experience, it's 50-50.
Okay. That's kind of interesting. I mean, like the VA, I mean, I have a hard enough time getting like the regular stuff. Admittedly, I haven't gone in for anything big, fingers crossed. But like at some point, the VA's just got to be like, hey man, like we've been giving you a lot of this. Like, how are you going through it? And I wonder if that is where the petty theft starts to come in. They're like, I'm stealing medications from people and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your time in the National Guard, I'm sorry, how many years did you say you were in the National Guard?
4.
And it was as an MP?
No, special or counterintelligence special agent.
Okay. Your time as a MP originally, what would you say the majority of your cases and calls were regarding?
Domestics and drugs.
Jesus.
I got in 1980, which is right after Vietnam.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a platoon of 38 people. Me and one other guy didn't smoke dope. Every other MP did. Yeah. So 36 of them smoked dope. They'd arrest people, steal the dope from them, and only turn in enough to arrest them and keep it and smoke it. So that's my first experience with the military, which is why I didn't stay in. Yeah, I just have never had a problem with drugs, thank God. But it was terrible. It was terrible. Wild. I'm talking about the platoon sergeant too.
Yeah. It was easier back then too. I mean, you guys weren't going back to the office and entering all this on a computer. You're doing everything on paper. Easy to lose. I mean, even in 08, when I joined in 08? Yeah, I joined the Navy Reserve directly right in 08. I remember if I had to reschedule a drill, I had to fill it on paper. And then I'd get a phone call. I'd be like, hey, how come you're not at drill? Well, I submitted my paperwork however many months ago. We didn't get it. I don't know what you want me to do with that information, man. So you're arresting people in the 80s and 90s. It's all paperwork. It's very easy. How much did you guys bring in? Did you photograph it? What, with our 2-megapixel camera? No, we didn't photograph it. It looks like a pound because of all the grass that was behind it, but really it was this much. The rest of that is
half a gram.
It's just fuzzy background image that we took with us. Man, that's crazy. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, you, like you said, you came in at the tail end of Vietnam. It's not like we welcomed any of them home with open arms. You hear stories of Vietnam veterans getting spit on when they came home and things getting thrown at them. Domestic violence at 100% adds up. It's not like they were being treated.
Right.
I don't even, were we calling shell shock PTSD yet back in the 1980s? Yeah. So you were still like, hey, this is the way you were because of war, but also get it together. You're back home now.
Yeah.
You have to get a job and take care of your family, whose life did not stop while you were gone.
Right. Yeah.
So what was the inspiration when you were like, all right, I'm done with the military. I'm done with Pinellas County Sheriff. What was the triggering factor for you to decide this is what I'm going to do?
You mean why I retired?
No. When you decided to start Expunge U.S. Veterans Incorporated.
Oh, well, I was already retired, and that group meeting where those two individuals came in and were just heartbroken. And I looked into Veterans Treatment Court to find out what it was because I didn't know.
Mm.
And I found out what it was. I went to some of the courts and, exposed myself to it and saw what they were doing. And I researched it. And like right now, we have 33 Veterans Treatment Court in Florida.
Oh, wow.
And that's out of 67 counties. So that's almost 50%.
Is that
It's
each county has their own veteran court?
well, like
How's it kind of laid out?
it's by each court circuit. Like
Okay.
Pinellas County and Pasco County, Newport Richey,
Mhm.
they're one circuit, but they're two counties.
Okay.
So sometimes you may have some overlap there. So we have 67 counties and 33 Veterans Treatment Court. So the one in Pinellas, which I don't know if it's 6th or 10th Judicial Circuit right now, I forget, but they cover Pasco and Pinellas.
Okay.
But for the most part, it's about 50% of the counties have Veterans Treatment Court.
That's pretty good.
It is, yeah.
And because who is responsible for controlling how veteran courts operate?
Well, it's such a combined effort. I'm really impressed with the way they run. I've experienced Pinellas. I've experienced Hillsborough. I've been to Ocala, Marion County, multiple counties. And it's really the judge. They have a victim or a Veterans Treatment Court judge, specially assigned to that court. And then they have representatives from the VA.
Okay.
They have a special prosecutor that is assigned to Veterans Treatment Court. And all of those parties, about 3 or 4 of them, work in conjunction to operate it. So they're all there when it happens. And if something happens and they come up, and if somebody, fails a drug test, they're all there with information or, oh yeah, well he failed. And, it's just amazing how they work in unison.
So you got
But
city and county employees assigned directly to that veteran court. And then you have, like you said, you have VA representatives. So they work directly for the VA, i.e. federal government. How is it that the veteran court gets triggered for these people?
They need to qualify. The crime needs to qualify. Some of them don't. Some high level crimes just aren't going to qualify.
I was going to ask, is it like petty theft, alcohol, drugs? Cool, you can qualify for veteran court, but smuggling drugs probably doesn't qualify for veteran court.
Yeah, trafficking, I believe, is out. Yeah, trafficking and probably sales are out.
Okay. So we're talking like smaller things. It's like we could probably contribute this to either a lack of treatment or assistance. This is like a stress or psyche induced incident that probably could have been treated and avoided. Wasn't, and now you're here.
Right. But like I said, there's auto theft is one of them. You're eligible for it in our jurisdictions for auto theft. You're eligible for that because it's not a forcible felony. That's what they don't want to get involved with, a forcible felony.
Okay.
And like I said, a lot of them are domestics and the minor drugs. Even if it's a heroin or cocaine, they still work with them as long as they're not trafficking or dealing.
Sure. You said auto theft it's not a forced felony,
right?
And it's authorized on veteran court. So
here it is, yeah.
So is each county allowed to decide what types of crimes they're going to say do and do not qualify for veteran court?
Yes, but I don't know if there's a big umbrella somewhere controlling some of it. Yeah. I know, for example, DUI is not one of them that you can go to Veterans Treatment Court for because
interesting.
In Florida, you can't be found not guilty for DUI unless you go to a jury. Like you can't go in and plead no contest and the judge withholds adjudication.
Gotcha.
The judge has to find you guilty by law.
Okay. So we're talking about, sorry, go ahead.
But I represented an individual in Tampa And Hillsborough, for some reason, the verbiage he had a very good lawyer, found a loophole and got him into Veterans Treatment Court for a DUI.
Oh, wow.
And the case was dismissed, and I got it expunged.
Oh, shit.
It was people didn't believe me. They're like, "No, you didn't." I said, "Yeah, I got a DUI expunge." I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but what I had was I had 3 or 4 lawyers working for me pro bono who know their stuff. I got one working for me pro bono now because I
Nice.
don't do the lawyer stuff. I do the screening, the qualification, the application, and then once we get the certificate back, we send it to the lawyer.
Okay. So these are crimes that really only are affect or involve just the veteran. The DUI can affect other people. Trafficking, selling affect other people.
Excuse me.
Really, well, the domestic, I guess, kind of involves other people, but usually relegated to the home.
I wouldn't say that's a guideline. I mean, honestly, because auto theft affects other people. It's just like I said, they don't like the thought of like forcible felonies, obviously rape, robbery, murder, child abuse, big triggers.
Yeah. The
big
ones that get them on the news.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So a veteran goes to court, qualifies for veteran court, gets a case dropped, contacts you. You screen them. You say, "Yep, you qualify." What's the timeline, and what is it that they have to do in this timeline to ensure that everything goes the way they want it to go to have their record expunged?
Well, first they're gonna have to fill out the Florida Department of Law Enforcement application and have it notarized, and they have to get a fingerprint card. They have to get their fingerprints taken by law enforcement, and then they send that to me, and they have that form notarized, and then they send it to me, and I send it to the state attorney, because the state attorney of the jurisdiction where they have their charge either dismissed or null prost or withhold, then the state attorney has to agree, yeah, this is an expungable or sealable case. So that could take up to a month. I'm waiting on one now. It's been 3 weeks. And then once that comes back, and FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, when I first started this was 9 months in the rears of researching the case and making a determination. Now they're 9 weeks. So they really sped their process up.
That's a pretty good timeline.
Yes, it is. So we're talking within, I'd like to tell them within 12 months. Yeah, well, not within 12 months, about 6 months, within 6 months. Because it used to be about 12 with their 9-month backlay. And then after they get their certificate, it's not long after that, the lawyer writes up a petition to have heard in front of a judge, and then they write a court order. If the judge says, yes, I'll seal or expunge it, then they write a court order, the attorney does, and the judge signs a court order. And that court order says your record's sealed or expunged. That local agency, whoever arrested you, Pinellas County Sheriff, City of Largo, whatever agency arrests you, gets put on notice. Hey, Joe Schmo had their records sealed or expunged. Destroy all your records and all your reports, all your notes, all your reports, destroy them. The clerk's office is put on notice. FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, we have FCIC, Florida Criminal Information Center, which will tell you his criminal history for Florida, and NCIC, National Criminal Information Center, the FBI, they're put on notice to delete it from their database. And it gets wiped from all of that.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And 6 months. That's a really good timeline.
Yeah, it is.
All things being even.
Yeah, I'm impressed with FDLE and the progress that they made, because I had a little hiatus between my nonprofit and a LLC.
Of course. Out of curiosity, what happens if a veteran gets arrested a second time and they find out, hey, that first arrest was never expunged? Has that ever happened? Do you have any experience with something like that? I'm just kind of curious.
You mean it wasn't expunged because of mistake?
Negligence. Yeah.
No, I've never had that happen. I've had it happen where it wasn't removed from, like I said, FCIC or NCIC, because they go to remove the record, and I dealt with this a lot as a cop, and you'll get a warrant pop up on somebody on FCIC, Florida, but not national.
Right.
And you're scratching your head. Oh, but if FCIC is down the time they go to delete it, then it doesn't get deleted.
Okay.
And I don't know if they have checks and balances now, but they haven't in the past. So that warrant kind of stays in the system. It's mute, but it's still in there.
Yeah. So if that person got arrested or maybe or not arrested, I shouldn't say arrested. Let's say they get pulled over for like a traffic stop, busted taillight they didn't know about, run their plate like, hey, this guy's got a warrant out for their arrest. They go through the process, they get in front of the judge, and the judge will be like, no, never mind. This guy's been expunged.
Right. Well, you're supposed to verify the warrants, which is you verify the warrant. So I stop somebody, like you just said, they got a warrant. Well, before I arrest them, I verify, is the warrant valid through dispatch, through teletype? Is the warrant valid? And will the arresting, if it's out of county, will that county pay to extradite them? And when they check and physically teletype, let's say Hillsborough County, and say, hey, we got this individual with a warrant from your agency, because the sheriff in Florida is the holder of all warrants, no matter if it's a city warrant, a city arrest, or a county arrest, or whatever. They hold all the warrants. They'll say, no, that warrant's not valid anymore. That's how the system is supposed to work. Yeah.
So that's a pretty good check and balance then. But then, you're not right, because if for whatever reason that didn't happen, now you've just arrested this guy, you've created a second record. Now that individual would have to go through the whole process again, getting the whole secondary record expunged due to an administrative error.
Well, you say that, and you mention it, and again, I talk for Florida, but you cannot have more than one record sealed or expunged in Florida. Only one.
Oh, that's a good detail.
Yes. So if you've ever been convicted of a crime, so let's say, and I'll use an example. I had a client in 1977 was arrested for menacing in the Bronx, New York.
Okay.
I don't know what that is, but whatever. Sounds like something from a cartoon. It
really does.
You're right. He paid a $25 fine and was released. Well, come 2016, I think it was, whatever, he had another charge, which was Veterans Treatment Court criteria. Went through Veterans Treatment Court, had the case dismissed, and because of that arrest in 1977, I couldn't expunge that one that was dismissed in Florida, because Florida's law at that point said if you've ever been arrested for any city, county ordinance violation or state law violation anywhere in the country, you cannot have any records expunged if you've been found guilty. And he was found guilty because he just pled out and paid his $25. Now, since I started again, I have found, and I'm impressed, but Florida needs to change more. Florida now says if you've been convicted of a crime in Florida only, you cannot have a secondary charge sealed or expunged. So whatever you do in Georgia or Texas anymore doesn't matter in Florida, which is it's progress.
Yeah, every little bit counts. Every little bit counts.
Every little bit counts.
You said a guy who's menacing could just be like going, like kids at a park. You've been arrested for menacing. Yeah, okay, cool. Here's my $25. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go menace some other kids down the street. They're like, nope, can't have that expunged. You made a face at a child back in the 70s.
Yeah. I had, if you don't mind me telling the stories.
Not at all.
I had a case with a young lady, and she was in a city park in Oldsmar, Florida, and she got a ticket, a civil citation, for being in the park after dark. And so she decides to go online and pay the fine. Well, in the fine print, which she didn't read, nor did I know this after 28 years as a cop, that if you pay the fine like that over the interweb, that you're admitting guilt. So you're guilty.
What?
Yeah. So she was guilty of a city ordinance violation of being in a park after dark. Well,
Which God forbid. God forbid being in a park after dark.
So 4 or 5 years later, she gets a misdemeanor pot charge, which was dismissed. And she asked me if I could expunge it. And I couldn't, because she was found guilty of this city ordinance violation. I mean, and that would still hold true in Florida today.
That's so wild.
It is. I mean, if anybody had a record expunged, and then they go into Publix and they come out and have cops draw down on them and take them to jail for robbing Publix and armed robbery. And you get to the station, they book you, they arrest you, you're the person, people picked you out, whatever, they have probable cause.
Yeah.
And then they brush you off, say, sorry, you're the wrong person. We made a mistake. It's like there's a way and an avenue to get that expunged, but because you already have an expungement, it's like pulling eye teeth.
Oh my gosh.
But there is a way, the state, and that's where the onus should be on the state, and they should just get rid of that for you.
Because you shouldn't have to spend time and money. Like, you made a mistake.
Yeah.
And I get it. All right, cool. Like, shit happens sometimes, but like, do your due diligence. Send out that little notice that says, hey, delete all this stuff. This was bad. This is our bad. Sorry about that, homie. Because now let's say it happens again. Minor possession charge.
Yep.
Oh no. It turns out there's this whole other thing we got this time at a Publix.
Right.
What the fuck, man?
I know, you're done.
You can buy pot now. What are you talking about? I didn't rob that fucking Publix.
No.
I robbed the other one.
I have told public officials, state representatives and state senators, and they can't believe that, you're wrong. You're wrong. Well, I know the Pinellas County state attorney pretty good, and I've called him and we've had discussions about the law, and he actually supports some of my suggestions to change it. And it's a very conservative county, the state attorney's office in Pinellas and Pasco. But and I'm not speaking for him. I'm just saying, some of them, like the girl in the park after dark. I mean, she really, or you're fishing without a license and you get an ordinance violation. And so you pay the ticket online, and all of a sudden for life, you're done.
Yeah. You just committing. Yeah. And it's wild, man. I mean, people give Florida a lot of shit, and which
they should,
understandable. I got home from a deployment and I wanted to buy a handgun. The new Army service pistol had come out like the year prior, so the civilian model was finally available through SIG. I was like, man, that thing is nice. I want one of those.
I haven't shot it yet. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's so good. So I went to a gun store. And I just come home from deployment. I didn't have a license with my new address on it. And the guy was like, well, what do you have? And I was like, I can show you like my insurance card. I can show you like my utility bill. And he's like, you fish? Today I might. Why? And he's like, give me $1. I'll get you a shore-based saltwater fishing license or whatever. That's proof of residency. I'll say this gun. I'm like,
yeah,
bro, I'm not gonna say no. But then you're like, I paid $25 fucking for sitting in a taxpayer park after dark, and now I can't have my fucking record expunged when like things were going so bad and I needed help and nobody would help me.
Yeah.
And now that I need it and I'm getting it, you guys like, nah, sorry, man. You sat at that park. It was 8:15 and we found you. The taxpayer park closed at 8. You're hosed.
Yeah. I mean, who would have done that anyway? The girl was nice. I'm sure she was up to nothing nefarious. And there were other people with her. She actually was a friend of my son's. And, I don't know. I just wasn't that kind of cop. Real shit, bullshit's bullshit.
Right.
Am I going to ruin somebody's life?
Sweep it away into the wind, then do it.
Yeah. You got a little pot on you, and you're going to college. You want to be a nurse. You want to be whatever. And I'm gonna bust you for a couple grams of pot. And you're a good, upstanding person. You're not being nasty to me. And other than you are breaking the law, but ruin their life. They'll never be a nurse with a drug charge. So
No.
hey,
and then look what happened. Drugs
Yeah.
won the war on drugs. So
Yeah.
congrats to all the ruined lives.
I did a lot of that, I mean, I just was very, human,
Yeah.
I don't like the word mistake because a lot of people, I made a mistake. No, you made a poor choice.
Yeah.
You made a poor choice. And there's consequences, but we can get through this.
That's like the, what is it? Oh, there's my brain injury kicking in. Decided
there it is.
Whatever that thought was, that wasn't important enough. Oh, well, maybe we'll circle back to that later.
Okay.
I was curious. So if anybody was arrested and then the state changed its laws and its views regarding whatever they were arrested for, are they allowed to have those arrests expunged?
No.
Not at all. Not
typically. You look at all the people still sitting in jail for marijuana charges,
Yeah.
or carrying it now. Open carry is legal in Florida.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but they don't go back and just release those people and say, hey, you're grandfathered in.
Because it was illegal at the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they can't or they never have. I'm just saying it's not. I've really never experienced that.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh, came back to me. That's following the spirit of the law, not necessarily the letter of the law.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you're in a park 15 minutes after it closed. All right, whatever. Go away. You're having some pagan bonfire ritual and all drinking at 12:30 at night. Different story.
Yeah. Throwing rocks at dogs or something.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Well, it's just there's just certain cops that I did. We had a pretty big agency, and they did a Facebook thing with the chief deputy is number 2 in charge at the sheriff's office, chief deputy. So this guy, I know the sheriff personally. I worked with him as a detective. I don't care for him. Bob Colteri, he knows it. Everybody knows it. Dave Danzig, I can't stand him either. He's now the chief deputy. He went on Facebook doing an interview, like a podcast, and told a story how his first arrest was for a warrant that a lady had for walking a cat without a leash. And he admitted it. I had a warrant come up once with a lady for refusing or didn't return a library book. And it was a warrant. And now I will admit, a warrant's an order from a judge saying, if you come in contact with this person, and Bob, if you're listening, come after me. It's an order from a judge saying, if you come in contact with them, it's in our jury, we'll extradite, and it's valid, you're supposed to arrest them if you have the color of authority. I didn't arrest that lady. I'm like, get out of here. The radio, the dispatcher knew they said, are you with that person? I'm like, no. I'm not going to arrest some lady for not returning a library book. But this cheesehead, he admitted it. He got blasted on Facebook. Like, you serious?
Walking a cat without a leash.
Yeah, and he's a chief deputy. I mean, and again, real shit's real shit. Bullshit's bullshit. Right. And work that out. Yeah. In my opinion. Yeah, it's an order from the judge. But come on. It's just me. Man, I don't care for those people. But
if you get arrested, because you mentioned jurisdiction a few times, and it got me thinking, if you get arrested in another county, do you have to have that record expunged in that county, or can you, like, if you live in a different county, can you have it taken care of at your court if you get arrested and there's a warrant out? Or is it not if you are like a person of interest and there's a warrant out and you get extradited? Like, where do you apply to have your record expunged?
It would have to be for the charging county.
In that county.
Right. Like if Pinellas had charges on you, and let's say they chased you into Pasco or Hillsborough County. Now, this is a probable cause arrest, not a warrant. Okay. So you're fleeing and eluding, possession of whatever, the concealed firearm, whatever they find. They have to, by federal law, take you to the jail of the county you're arrested in. You have to see a judge or magistrate from that county where you're arrested.
Okay.
Unless you volunteer to go back to Pinellas or whatever county.
Sure.
But in a warrant, it will still go back to the charging county. You know, because you could be arrested in Detroit for a warrant in Florida and extradited back, and Florida's the one who's going to handle the charge and ultimately they don't make the decision on the sealing or expungement, though. The county, the sheriff, the police department has nothing to do with it.
No,
it
I
comes down
understand.
to Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Yeah.
The reason I'm asking this is because if you get arrested in one county and you go back to the county where,
oh, I see what you're saying.
Right? Like, are there now 2 arrest records? You can only have one of them expunged. Let's say, you know.
Well, that's a very good question, which I'd have to ask my lawyer, but I don't think it would show. I think they would take care of it all, because there's another thing that we didn't talk about when I talked about one charge in a lifetime. But they have a thing we call companion charges, like that case I was telling you about. So let's say you're fleeing and eluding, you get stopped, or however they catch you. You have possession of marijuana, and they were chasing you because you just shoplifted. So you got 3 charges: fleeing, eluding, shoplifting, and possession of marijuana.
Right.
Well, if you go through court and that gets dismissed, and you can have that meets the criteria by FDLE to be expunged, they will expunge all 3 charges because they're companion charges.
Yeah, they're all in the same situation, the same storyline, the same incident.
Yes, but if you run on Saturday, you have pot on Sunday, and you shoplift on Monday, you're out of luck. You got to pick and choose which one you want.
Yeah, you can't be like get arrested on Monday and be like, "Hey, man, we identified you as this person from 2 days ago, and yesterday. What do you have to say?" What I have to say is those public sandwiches are fucking bomb. Other than that, I have nothing to say. I'm sorry, your host. You get one of the. You can get one, but you can't have all 3.
Right.
That's an interesting detail. I mean, I don't know what the status is of marijuana across the rest of the states yet, but you know, if you get arrested for, or not, I shouldn't say arrested. You know, you get pulled over for a broken taillight or like speeding or what have you, and then you know you're smoking pot. Now, are you hosed twice? Well, you know, there's this companion issue which other states might have. But there's definitely a lot more questions that need to be people need to look into. Like, I didn't know anything about veteran court until we spoke with our friend. Excuse me, and he was saying, I mean, we did some looking up, and it's like 8% of prison populations are veterans.
Right.
And he said no, it's a lot. Yeah, when you look at the population of prisons. And he said nobody told him about veteran court when he got arrested.
Right.
Nobody mentioned it. So he served a few years before he found out, and then went and was like, "Hey, nobody told me about this." And they're like, "All right, well, we fucked up." You know, but if you're arrested for these smaller charges, hey man, this could be your awakening. This could be your I need to get it together.
Mm-hmm.
And and then you find somebody to expunge your record, and you know. People at work, you know, younger people at work, like, hey man, like what turned it around for you? Let me tell you about getting arrested here in Yuma, Arizona, man. You know?
Well, and what we were doing before, and if maybe we can get into the cost of an expungement.
That's a big disability payments aren't going as far as they are with the housing market anymore, and cost of motherfucking gas is being what it is. So having to pay for legal fees, I mean, I'm by no means like the things I know about the human body pale in comparison to what I know about law. And all I get is whatever I have from Suits and Law and Order. Lawyers are expensive. If I was smart enough, I too would charge $1,000 a minute. But then you tack on a fee for like services rendered, because that hourly is not just for that lawyer. That's for their staff and the research and resources and everything else. Somebody comes to you, says, "Hey, I have a plot. I want to from the time that it ends is when the clock starts ticking, right? time that it ends. Sorry. From the time they come to you and say, hey, I would like to have my record expunged. Is that when the meter starts running?
No, those are usually flat fees.
Okay.
They're flat fees. And some lawyers will give you a flat fee, you got an auto burglary. I know somebody was arrested for aggravated assault. It was a really ridiculous charge. He's a friend of mine. I'm not saying it because he's a friend. But his lawyer charged him a flat fee for that,
Okay.
which was good. But a flat fee for most lawyers around here is $1,700 to $2,200 to expunge a record. And a lot of them represent their client. So they might say, okay, I'll do it for 15, or some of them throw it in. There's a lawyer in Tampa. I'd plug his name if I remembered it, but he's really good at that. He goes to Veterans Treatment Court a lot. Great lawyer. He was one of my pro bono guys, and he'll do it. Like, he gets the client through Veterans Court. He expunges it for free. So what we do, if you're a veteran or a first responder, fireman or policeman, and you have a record, we waive. There's a $50 introductory or service fee just to do the background, make sure you're good and that you can have it expunged. After that, there's a $75 fee which goes directly to FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement. That's their fee. The check's made out to them.
Sure.
That's their check. The state attorney charges nothing. And then the lawyer will charge probably, now this again is only for veterans and first responders. It depends, because you write the petition, depending how many pages, it may be $80, it may be 95, but let's say 100.
Okay. Sure.
And then the court order is going to be about 100. So you're looking at 275 plus 50.
325 already.
Yeah. I mean, and that's nothing compared, to what lawyers charge. And even with a regular citizen, our charges are a lot less. I think add 250 to that. So, because I do give the lawyer something on that, and they still take minimal. I mean, it's very minimal.
That's still pretty good.
It is a good. I mean, I'm not in it to make money. Hugh, honestly, I'm not bragging. I'm not rich, but I'm not in it to make money. I'm in it to help people, especially veterans and first responders.
Hey, Billy and I say the same thing. That's why we invite people on for free. No rich uncle left us a bunch of money. Nobody died after us meeting them at a bar and leaving us a bunch of fucking money. Like, we just want to help people out. And you need the minimum amount to do that. So,
and I also believe, and I talked about mistakes and poor choices. People go through struggles in life. Be it a divorce, a death of a child or a loved one, and they're not the man or woman that they normally are.
No.
So they go through a bad time in life. They come back from combat. They're not the same. So attributing to that, they make poor choices.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that's the person they're going to be for life. It doesn't mean that's the person they have for life. So I'm a big second chance person.
I
also, with people that are downright, people need to be in jail for life. People need to be in jail for life. Some of them.
There's something to be said for that nature versus nurture argument. But when you cram the amount of trauma you can receive from being overseas, or some people just have bad enlistments for 6 straight years. You're talking about a lifetime's worth of experience crammed into a tiny window where you never had to deal with it before. So you never developed the coping mechanisms to deal with it before. You never developed the mental stability and strength to deal with it before. The resources are very generic and broad. So there might not be somebody who's available to help you. And you're right. You come home, and I always tell my people at work, I'm like, we don't make mistakes. We make learning opportunities.
Yeah. Very good.
If the boat sinks, you made a mistake, though. I want to be clear about that. If the boat sinks, that's a mistake. But for the most part, we make learning opportunities. Sure. Yeah, you're right. There's some people, they're going to grow up their whole life in absolute shit situations, and they're going to have absolute shit things happen to them their entire life. Yeah, there's probably not any coming back from that. But, I never been on a ship. Thank God. But the 8 hours up, 8 hours down, 8 hours for study, yeah, you come home and all of it, there's a new child eventually, and then there's a
Yeah.
whole world that kept happening while you were gone. Are you deployed during the height of the war and you're setting off mortars and listening to incoming fire, and you're sleeping on a cot with some of the ugliest people God's ever created.
And smelliest.
Yeah.
You're
You
allowed
come
one
home.
shower a week.
Right. Yeah. One shower a week. Everybody's brown because of the desert. And, you don't know anything about yourself anymore, except for how you fit into this little collective. And then you come home and there's an entire different kind of stressors, because fuck Marge and her azaleas. I don't give a shit what she says. I'm tired of them growing over into my space, because you're used to having this tiny little space here, and now Marge is encroaching on it. So you set her azaleas on fire one time. Does that mean your life should be over? No.
Right. I agree. Yeah. That's why I wouldn't arrest somebody for walking a cat without a license or without a leash.
That person's got enough problems, man. They're walking a cat. Leave that person alone. That person doesn't need help. That person knows exactly what they're doing, and you're not in it.
Yeah, Baker actor maybe, but not. Yeah.
Yeah. Man. Larry, I can't thank you enough for coming on here and talking to us about it. This is a ton of
thank you very much.
Expunging, having your record expunged, the fact that Veterans Court is helping just thousands and thousands of veterans compared to what it was doing even 10 or 15 years ago. Florida changing laws, I think, is a miracle. That's probably going to be part of the highlight reel. Thank you so much for what you're doing for our veterans, man. And you can tell that you feel very strongly about it. You flipped around, you did a 180, and you took your experience and you put it right back to work, helping people in a way that is obviously not being done very often. And I can't thank you enough, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
And you're doing a great thing too. I appreciate you putting all the veterans things out there. And, if anybody needs us, and unfortunately only in Tampa Bay area, but we're doing one in
that's all right, man.
Panhandle now, but yeah.
That's all right. Hopefully, if somebody does need help, they at the very least will be like, hey man, you need to look this guy up.
Yeah.
Look this up. That's what we're looking for, and that's what the point of having resources is being able to, use them as references and use them as guides. And this
exactly.
is a big one.
Yeah.
Thanks, Larry. I'll talk to you here in a little bit. All right.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.